as when they'd first met, when Gloria was 14 and Jack 15. And they were certainly as passionate about each other, although Gloria, of course, was saving herself for marriage. They'd only ever really had one major falling out in all the time they had been together, and that was a few months back, when they'd argued over Gloria having a ride home from work on the back of a lad's motorbike. The green-eyed monster had showed itself in Jack, and they'd had an almighty bust-up. Neither of them would back down, with Jack declaring Gloria shouldn't have accepted the ride, and Gloria standing her ground and saying there was nothing wrong in it, that the boy was just a workmate. It had been the first time their stubborn natures had clashed so forcefully, and it had taken a few weeks before they'd kissed and made up. When they did, though, they'd seemed closer than ever before, talking about getting married and even joking about how many children they'd have. Jack hinted that he intended to ask Mr. Turnbull for permission to marry his daughter on the day of Gloria's 17th birthday next month. But then, without any kind of warning, their lives together came to an abrupt halt when Jack came to meet Gloria after work at the ropery and told her he was really sorry he was ending their courtship. At first, Gloria thought it was some kind of wind-up, but when he told her he was serious and she asked him, "Why?" a question she would ask herself for a long while after, Jack seemed unable to give Gloria an explanation, but instead just kept on apologising. When Gloria kept on demanding an answer, tears had formed in Jack's eyes, which alarmed Gloria even more. She had never seen Jack cry, not once. "Something's not right." Gloria was beside herself. "You don't just love someone one minute and then turn your back on them the next." But that was exactly what Jack did. "You deserve better than me, Glor, much better," he said, before he turned and walked away. Away from Gloria, and away from the future they could have shared. In the weeks following their split, every time Gloria thought of her life without Jack, which amounted to just about every spare minute she had of every day, her whole body would well up with the most terrible feeling of panic. It was as though she was falling, like Alice down the rabbit hole, with no idea where she would land, all the while the question why spinning around in her head. It took a month to find out the answer. Her friend Violet sat her down one lunch break at the rope factory and pushed the Sunderland Echo under her nose, with the words, "Sorry, Glor, but I think you should see this." Never a strong reader, Gloria used her finger to follow the article Violet had directed her to look at. She saw Jack's name, and her heart foolishly leapt before her eyes darted back up to the subheading, "Forthcoming Marriages." Again and again she read the words, "Mr. J. Crawford and Miss M.I. Havelock. The engagement is announced between Jack Crawford, son of Irene and Edward Crawford, and Miriam, daughter of Catherine and Charles Havelock, both families of Sunderland, County Durham. The wedding will take place at St. Andrew's Church, Roker, Sunderland, on Saturday the 5th of September. At first, Gloria's mind seemed unable to process what she was reading, until finally a great wave of realization drenched her. Violet put her arm around her friend, who was sat stock still, staring down at the newspaper. She couldn't imagine what Gloria was feeling. Not only had she been dumped by Jack, but she had been replaced by one of the town's most well-known beauties, who was also one of the richest. Everyone in the town knew the Havelocks. Mr. Havelock probably owned or had substantial shares in a good 50% of the town's businesses and shipyards. His wife, Catherine, and daughter Miriam were often photographed at various highbrow events and were known to go to the launch of every ship built on the weir, which was where, Violet presumed, Miriam must